long-term recovery, knowing that those things were exactly the things that helped me, right, and helped me get to this point. Um, I'll save you guys the story of my destructive ecosystem, that led me to treatment, and skip to the point when I first got out. Um, oh man, it's so vital to know that if you don't have the supports in place, and when you come out of treatment, you don't know if you do. I didn't know where to go. All after I left treatment, all I had was a sober living place to go to, which is huge. It was definitely necessary, but I didn't I didn't know what recovery was. I thought not using substances, being sober was it, right? Um, but then I found supports in, because I was bored. I was bored. I went to NA meetings, and initially it was just to not go around the people because they say people, places, and things. And I didn't want to destroy myself anymore. I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I just went to the rooms, those same support groups you were talking about, and in these rooms, I met people who were already in the recovery field, or just had some time under their belt in recovery, and I didn't want to be a statistic. You hear those numbers of people going to treatment a couple of times, and I didn't want to be that person because I didn't like treatment. Like I'm like I can't do this twice, so that was my only aspiration, not to go back to treatment. Right? I didn't want to get in trouble with probation. I didn't want to go back to treatment. Only thing. So it took a lot for me to figure that out. It was a lot of self-determination, because financially I didn't have any money. Um, but my higher power kept me solid, kept me around people who gave me opportunities. As far as RCOs, the one I work for now, I would have never thought I would have been working here, but I had some. I met my CEO in those same rooms. From there, through those conversations, I got an opportunity to volunteer, to deal with some of that downtime that I had, and from volunteering, and over time, I got asked the question, well, how many months do you have clean, Brendon? And I had about 11 and a half months, and that was me staying down and staying, the course of just the motivation. Once again, was to not go back to treatment and not go back to jail. And once I was asked that question and got introduced to this recovery community organization that I now work for, I hopped in this training, and this training was, well, I was like, what's a certified peer recovery specialist, right? So I Googled it, and I said, wait a minute, I do this all the time, right? Without the certification. And once I got into training, I realized, oh, this is going to help me further my recovery. Now I get what recovery is. Now it's not just not using substances. It's more of changing my insides, my way of thinking, my moral inventory, my whole makeup, right? And like Wendy and Beth were talking about, creating a new recovery ecosystem. And if it wasn't for this RCO and those weekends and those social club events that happened Friday night that kept me out of the streets or kept me out of clubs and bars, where I got to come and socialize with people who really were serious about their recovery, and carrying that message that I saw from them, because that message that we carry in recovery, that it works, was written all over their face and in their spirit, and I was drawn to that, and I got all of that from this RCO, and on top of that, I got to learn more about myself and my ability to give my recovery back in a manner that was, I didn't even know they paid people for this, right? Like I didn't know this was even a thing, right? And if it wasn't for the RCO bridging that gap, because that's what it is. We could go to treatment and we can learn the things that we need to work on ourselves. We can learn about how the drugs affect us. We can learn about, I call it treatment drug school, right? But it wasn't a lot about life, I believe that treatment is important, but I also feel that recovery community organizations, community support, family support, and all the dimensions of recovery are just as, if not more important, right? And if it wasn't for RCOs in general, especially Twin Cities Recovery Project, I don't know if I would still be in recovery. I don't know if I would, because if you take something away from somebody, you have to replace it. What the recovery organization did for me, it replaced everything that I needed. It might have not been, money and women and drugs, but it was true friendship where nobody wanted anything from me but for me to be okay. I didn't have the opportunity of having a peer recovery specialist. My transition from treatment to a RCO, it was a short window, but like I had an aspect of it, a mentorship and people to look up to, and people to give me opportunities, which is kind of what we do as CPRSs. So I had a taste of what an RCO was, but I mean what a CPRS was, but it gave me a socializing aspect of it, because that was a big piece for me too. I needed friends, or I needed better groups of people to hang around and get rerouted in the community, instead of destroying it. So the RCO gave me that chance. The RCO, it was there for me at every turn. Like, it didn't matter what I needed. If it was a reference letter about my volunteer hours, if it was a place to come and use the internet, to fill out applications, whether it was with the county for assistance, or trying to put a resume together to find a job, I was able to come and to drink coffee, right? Because I got to come, and the volunteer piece turned into a internship. And there's the money piece, right? I stayed down, and I was really taken to trying to be a part of implement recovery in my life, and people in the RCO saw that, and they wanted me to experience more and go and further and help people. So that's what it did, man. And being African American, recovery is nothing that when I was brought up I ever even heard about, right? Even the word recovery is stigmatized in my community. This RCO, being a culturally specific one, gave me a place where I could come and socialize with people that look like me, people from same backgrounds, and still keep recovery in the forefront. And I thought that was the most beautiful thing in the world. I still think it is to this day, right? It gave me sustainability in my recovery, and that's what's most important. I wouldn't have got sustainability from treatment because I wasn't there long enough, right? We don't have follow-up care. When Wendy and Beth were talking about the follow-up of our chronic illness, the RCOs are those follow-up doctors. The best evidence-based best practices are going to come from organizations like RCOs. Like they can't come from treatments. They have to come from that stat that they said about the 67%. I was just blown away. I was like, whoa. So they're compiling the data, and it's so important, man. And I know we're all on the same page, right? We know what RCOs are supposed to do and what we have been trying to do, man. So, man, I'm just grateful for the opportunity. Man, it's just, I also have to say this one thing, man. Like RCOs go where no other places go, and to reach these people is the key. Whether they're ready for recovery or not, I'm speaking for our RCO, but I know there are others just like Jordan's RCO that go into these places that need the help the most with outreach and creating access to harm reduction. Things like that in the lock zone. We pass so much of that out. Jordan knows, but that's what it is. We do things to reach the people. And that's where you gotta get to. Some people might not have to go to treatment to gravitate toward recovery. If they come and know that there are a place in their community, no matter where they live, that can show them what recovery looks like, they can be able to go there. That would cut down those costs. It's because it's not something that you must go to treatment, then you must go to our show. It doesn't have to work like that. We have to be more accessible to the people at large, and I feel that RCOs are the only organizations equipped to go out and do that, man. And that's probably one of my favorite things to do as a peer recovery specialist. I love working with the individuals on my caseload, because not only am I giving them something, I receive something in return, because I am a person in long-term recovery, right? And it's being a friend and making friends and building long lasting relationships. And it is beautiful when you see it working. It was beautiful when I saw it working in myself, and it's just as fulfilling when I see it working in the people that I'm working for, right? It's like all over again. I get that warm, fuzzy feeling. Every time they hit a goal or a milestone, I feel like it's giving me a purpose. And I owe that to a recovery community organization. I didn't have that before when I was, in my destructive ecosystem, right? Um, but rebuilding myself, uh, working with this organization, becoming a pillar in my community again. That's what's sustaining me. I get my follow-ups from my coworkers and my supervisors and things like this, connecting with other people. I think I've been in a conference with Beth before, some training, man, and just seeing familiar faces, working with Jordan, man, just doing all the things that have been allotted through this recovery process. I have to all give the credit to, this organization, and I'm sure it's the same for other RCOs, right? This is just my story from this side, but um, that gap, that picture that they showed with the pitfall, right? We could fill all the RCOs up with that, and I know everybody will recover better, you know, and and that's all I got. Is that,
That's great. Oh, Brendon, man, thank you so much for joining us. I feel like we could just do this the rest of the day and I'd have a great weekend.
Yeah.
And then say hi to your fearless leader. I saw him sneak in while you were talking, Mr. Jonigan. We appreciate you joining us. And I think kind of segues into what we're going to talk about next is you talked about how recovery is kind of written on the faces of the people that you saw at TCRP. It's obviously written on you as well. And the way I see our, can you all see my slides? No? Okay. I got two screens set up and I think I screwed it up here. Try it again. This better? Yeah?